we're sending glad tidings from New Franken, and it's interesting because I mentioned that in the trivia question last week, and I didn't see any comments. And so, Glad Tidings is a song by one of my favorite artists, Van Morrison. So it's a song about glad tidings from New York, and we're glad tidings from New Franken. And I'm joined by Kim and Jim Michiels from New Franken, and they're members of St. Thomas the Apostle. Kim and Jim, it's great to have you here, and I want to ask Jim right away. You're a class of '79 guy.
That's
Maybe
right.
You're a fan of Van. I don't know. Are you?
Oh yeah, Van Morrison, yep.
That's good. So you know that song, Glad Tidings.
A lot of good old songs back then.
All right, glad tidings out there. So I'm going to get right at it. We're going to begin with your story, a little bit about yourselves and your connection to your parish, St. Thomas.
Okay, I'll start. I was raised in Luxembourg, and I was lucky to attend St. Mary's Catholic School, grades 1 through 6, and then of course went to Luxembourg Casco, and that is where Jim and I met in high school. It was Jim's senior year, and we met, and a couple months later started dating, and we were actually married in 1982, so we've been married for 38 years. When we first got married, we bought a home closer to Green Bay, and we attended Holy Martyrs Church. Probably about 3 years later, we moved back out to the area. We bought Jim's family home, which is right in Sugarbush, just a couple of miles from St. Thomas.
In the suburbs.
In the suburbs of Sugarbush. And so we lived there for about 5 or 6 years, and then we bought our land in New Franken and built a home, and we've been here since 1991. We have 3 kids. Our son Dan and his wife Tara, they have 4 daughters. They live in the De Pere area. Our daughter Nikki and her husband Brian, they have a son and daughter, and they live in the Luxembourg area, and they also now belong to St. Thomas. And then we have a daughter, Bethany. She lives in Madison. And that's where we are.
And Jim, you're a local guy, a little bit of a history buff. I've got Jim's 6th grade. It's got his name on it, Kim. I don't know if you can see it. His 6th grade notebook. And I won't open it up. I would. It's drizzling a little bit, but it has a collection of articles about St. Thomas, and then Prince of Peace, and it also has Our Lady of Queen of Peace. Sorry about that. And it also has St. Hubert articles, and there might even be St. Mary's in here. St. Mary's, local St. Mary's. So lots of history, treasure in Jim's book. So what do you remember about those things?
St. Hubert's burnt down when I was 5 years old, but I do remember our processions from church out to the back of the cemetery. There was a small building back there, and we'd all process back. I remember serving Mass when I was young. My grandma used to be the housekeeper for Father Durr. Father Durr was here probably 20, 25 years, and she was his housekeeper. So a lot of times we got involved with helping out at church or something like that, and the grandma would always have us in for dinner, toast and marmalade jam, my brother Mark's favorite. And we'd serve Mass and stuff like that, and different priests came and went. And we had Father Schmidt for 20-some years as well when I was growing up. So most of my youth I had two priests. But St. Hubert's burnt down when I was 5 years old, and most of my memories are from Our Lady Queen of Peace. I was on the parish council when St. Cyril Methodius was closed, and we were linked for a couple years before that when Father Dean was here. He was here for 17 to 20 years too. So most of my life I've kind of had 3 priests that were kind of the mainstays that I learned a lot from. But I was on the parish council when that was linked, and that was a rough time when parishes were going by the wayside. They're tearing buildings down. Holy Martyrs, Kim mentioned, that we were at became part of Prince of Peace with 2 churches merging, and we didn't know if Our Lady Queen of Peace was going to be here or not. But when we merged with St. Cyril Methodius, we changed the name to St. Thomas, so it'd be new to everybody. And now we're not really linked, but it's about the same as being linked with St. Killian's and St. Joseph. So, I think the history of we had Irish Eton, St. Mary's was right up the road here, and St. Hubert's. Those were all Belgian mission churches that started in the 1800s, and those churches all joined together. So if you really think about it, our churches have been merging together. And if you look around back in the 1800s, there was a church out in the country here every 5 miles, and the Belgian Heritage had a lot of churches. And they had little roadside chapels besides the churches. So you were only a couple of miles from any church or any small chapel. And most of those were because people would walk to church or they'd take horses. And then with the advent of cars and stuff like that, you didn't need church every 5 miles, and it's hard to keep all the buildings up and stuff like that. A lot of the old wooden churches had burnt down, so then they went to masonry or something else. So, when you really look back into history, merging and linking of churches has been part of the history in the United States since the beginning. So it's just that people don't like to study history anymore, and you want to throw all the history away. And what happens is you think it's something new, something brand new, and it's really not. So, but if you learn the history, then you learn linking and all that's not such a bad thing. You get to meet new people and share your stories with them, and brings a bigger community.
That's pretty awesome. And I love to hear about the history. I mean, for me, I'm a history buff, and when you look at some of the buildings, there's still some relics around that if you can look closely, you can see some of the remnants from those times. Charisms. It's another thing that Jim and I have had a lot of chance to talk a lot about many different serious subjects. And Kim, Jim, and I have just been talking a little bit about some of the past and some of our backgrounds. Charisms, important to you? How?
Yeah, we went to a class. I think it's 2 or 3 years ago. We learned about charism. Really, for those who haven't heard of charism is a gift that God gives you. And the Holy Spirit, when the Holy Spirit works through you on that gift, you can do so much more than you could on your own. And I think one of the best examples they said is music is a charism. And some people can sing well, and some people just blow you away with how they sing, and it goes right through you and touches your soul. Those people have the charism of singing, but they can do so much better with the Holy Spirit working through them than just a talent or just a gift. But everybody has charisms, so it's really good to find out what yours are. And you may be surprised when you go through it. You think you're really good at this, but you find out your charism is something else. When I went through it, there was 2 or 3 that I was really kind of going down, but I think service was really the charism that I kind of keyed in on. And to me, I like the charism of service, because service is you just do things because they got to get done. And I really like it because when I'm working at church or something like that, I say a prayer that, going back to the history, I always pray for the people who have that church here before us, so it's here for us. And now it's our turn. And while we're here, we need to take care of that parish, take care of that church, the congregation, so it's here for the people after us. And then we have to pass it on to our kids. So charism of service is helping make all that happen, keeping the church going, keeping things going so that the parish is here down the road for other people. So, and there's a lot of charism, so it's really interesting learning about that.
Kim, any thoughts?
I agree with Jim in the service part of it. It's like we're both retired, recently retired, and part of my goals in retiring was being able to help people and to service and to just be there when people need us. And now with COVID, it's a little bit difficult, but we're still able to help at church. We just got asked to help, since with the 7:30 mass starting, we are at, hey, we need some volunteers to help them come and clean the church after. So it's like, yep, we're going to be there, and we're helping, and we're getting volunteers together, and I guess, if that is my charism, I just want to be able to be there and get what needs to be done.
We talked a little bit about prayer, and it kind of connects to that.
Yeah, it does. I guess, and I definitely pray. If I take a walk all by myself, I usually say a rosary, and I think we all pray, but I really feel like for me to pray in different forms, again, like, helping people. When I'm with, we have a wonderful family. I have my 3 kids, and 2 of them are married and have the spouses, and they're wonderful, and our beautiful grandchildren that we just enjoy, and being together and just making those memories and thanking God every day for those kids and our families and our great group of friends that we have, that we share the same interests, and it's really cool, because if we do go away on a weekend, we're all together, and we're mass is always a priority, and we make that, and we have a lot of friends that share that same that those same values, and just going for a walk and just looking in the fields and seeing these fresh cut fields and that smell and just the greenery and just the beauty of this area, and just thanking God every day that we have this, because there's so much going on in our world right now, and this is what's really important, is our friends and our family, and just taking care of each other.
If I could jump in, Bill, Jesus prayed a lot on his own, but he also got together with disciples, and he prayed a lot with people, and he shared parables and things like that. So I think you need that mix. I think people need to find a quiet place, wherever that is, and pray, and you need to discern what's going on in your life. But I think that, going back to charisma service, when you work with people at church, you hear their stories, you hear what's bugging them, you hear what excites them, you hear good things that are going on. You also hear when you need to pray for other people. And I think that's where the parish comes in. And the parish is a community of people with the same beliefs. And the more you get together, the more you work together, the more you are a community. And I think that's the good part about working with people at church. It helps build your faith and find out how other people do things and how other people think. And sometimes they challenge you to get better. We can all get kind of lazy at times.
And we have such a great group at our church. You ask for help, and everybody's there to help out.
I had a 72-year-old guy pouring concrete this last week. And he asked me when I got done, he says, hey, if you got other work, let me know. And he's a guy, it's not for meetings and stuff like that, but every time I ask him to help, he's there. So, yeah, it's neat. It's a neat community.
And I think that ties maybe close to, I always ask the third question, which is always moments, and they can be in many different ways. You've touched on that, moments where you're in the presence of God, moments where you are close to Christ.
Absolutely. And if we don't look for the good, if you're not looking for good and God, you're not going to find him, or you're not going to find the good. That's why I said just going for a walk and just being in the presence of your family and loved ones. It's like God's there, and we have to look and acknowledge that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like Paul gets struck by lightning and not knocked off his horse. And maybe some people need that, but I think most people, you need to look for Christ in everyday things. And there's been a lot of moments in our lives, in good times, bad times, where Christ is there. He's there with you. I think there's other times you just look around and just feel his presence. As long as you're aware of it, you'll see he's there a lot more than what you think. But you gotta look.
Well, Jim's got a great wristband on. I noticed his Philippians 4:13. We've talked about that, and it's funny when you talk about this and when you sit around and you say, hey, what's the coolest thing I get to do every day? It's this. When I think about, you talk about working for the parish, working with St. Thomas, St. Kilian, St. Joseph, this is the best part of what we do. The community, our faces in faith right here, Kim and Jim. And it is, I think about, those sort of three pillars of prayer, studying and learning, and action, and you've hit them all. I mean, you're involved in all three, and certainly, yeah, you lean a little bit on action because that's where, your gifts may lie, but the other two are present in the triangle, in the tripod. I want to say thank you to Kim and Jim. I mean, these are action people. These are people that are truly making a difference, not only in our community, but in the world. I want to say thank you to them, and I want to invite you as we go forward to just continue to look for those moments, as Kim and Jim said. Look for Jesus in your everyday life, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of, what is this thing called again, Kim?
Meet the Parish?
Meet the Parish. That's it. Thank you.